ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। नारायणं नमस्कृतं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भविति निष्ठिकी। जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। गुरु परंपरा की जय। निताय गौर सिद्धांत प्रबंधे हरि हरि बोल। श्रीमद्भागवतम इन स्टोरी फॉर्म, चैप्टर 16। Chapter 16. Chapter 16. Further creations of Lord Brahma, Canto 3. Vidura next desired to hear about what Brahma did to create living beings after having generated the Prajapatis, as well as how the Prajapatis themselves engaged in creating under the order of their father. In response, Maitreya began to describe the creation from the very beginning of its manifestation. When the undifferentiated modes of nature became agitated by the destinies of the aggregate living entities, the glands of Mahavishnu and the force of time, the Mahatattva or total material elements, was produced. In this way, three kinds of false ego were generated. From false ego evolved the five gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The five subtle elements or sense objects known as tanmatra: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. The five knowledge acquiring senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. And the five working senses: speech, hands, feet, anus, and genitals. With the help of the energy of the Supreme Lord, these were combined to produce a shining universal egg that lay on the water of the causal ocean in a lifeless state for 1000 years. Thereafter, the Lord expanded himself as Garbhodakshay Vishnu and entered the universe. Lying down upon the ocean that he created from his perspiration, from the navel of Garbhodakshay Vishnu sprouted a great effulgent lotus flower, the reservoir of all the conditioned souls, and thereafter the first created being Brahma was born. When the Lord again expanded himself as Kshirodakshay Vishnu and entered his heart, Brahma became inspired to recreate the universe as it had been previously. First, Brahma created from his shadow the five coverings of ignorance: Tamisra, the anger of envy which makes one forget his constitutional position as a part and parcel servitor of the Lord. Second, Andhatamisra, the conception that death is the ultimate end. Third, Tamash, ignorance of one's eternal spiritual identity. Fourth, Moha, attachment to things in relationship with the material body. And fifth, Mahamoha, madness for material enjoyment. Out of disgust, Brahma threw up that body of ignorance, and when it took the form of night, which is the source of hunger and thirst, the Yakshas and Rakshasas hurriedly took possession of it. Thereafter, when the Yakshas and Rakshasas became overpowered by these urges, they rushed at Brahma from all sides to devour him, while crying out, "Spare him not! Eat him up!" Becoming full of anxiety, Brahma pleaded, "You are the first creations from my body, and thus you are my sons. Instead of eating me, give me protection." The ones that said that Brahma should be eaten were thereafter called Yakshas, and ones who said that he should not be protected were called Rakshasas. Brahma next created the chief demigods who shone with the glory of goodness. When he put before them the effulgent form of daytime, the demigods sportingly took possession of it. The demons were then created from Brahma's back, and because they were too lusty, they immediately approached him for copulation. At first, Brahma laughed at their stupidity, but as the shameless asuras closed in on him, he became angry and fearful and hurriedly approached Lord Vishnu for protection. After hearing of Brahma's plight, the Lord ordered him to cast off his impure body. When Brahma did this, or in other words, when he gave up that particular mentality, it took the form of evening twilight, a time that kindles passion, a time that kindles passion. Being dominated by the mode of passion, the demons imagined it to be a very beautiful woman. Her feet resounded with the tinkling of ankle bells, and her eyes were wide with intoxication. Her wide hips were covered by a fine cloth, and her breasts, which were so plump that no space remained between them, projected upwards because of their clinging together. A lovely smile adorned her beautiful face, and she cast a playful glance upon the asuras, while apparently covering herself out of shyness. Upon seeing this girl, all the demons became infatuated with sex desire, and so they began praising her beauty very highly. While treating her very respectfully, the demon said, "Who are you, O pretty one? Why have you come before us so tantalizingly, displaying the priceless commodity of your feminine beauty? While playing with a ball, you have greatly agitated our minds by your lovely movements. Your waist appears to have become fatigued due to being oppressed by the weight of your full grown breasts, their understanding having thus become clouded." The demon suddenly seized the evening twilight, just as moths rush into a fire, for they took it to be the alluring form of a beautiful woman. Then, with a laugh that was full of deep significance, Brahma next evolved hosts of Gandharvas and Apsaras from his personal loveliness. When he gave up that shining and beloved form of moonlight, Vishwabasu and other Gandharvas took possession of it. Thereafter, Brahma created ghosts and fiends from his laziness, and upon seeing them before him, naked and with scattered hair, he closed his eyes. The Bhutas and Pisachas possessed the body that Brahma then threw up in the form of his yawning, and which is also known as the sleep that causes drooling. For this reason, such ghosts attack those men who are impure, and by possessing them, they cause what is known as insanity. Brahma next created hosts of sadhyas and pitas by means of an invisible form that came from his navel. The pitas took possession of that invisible body, and it is through the medium of this form that offerings are made to them during the performance of the Shraddha ceremony. From his ability to remain invisible, Brahma next created the Siddhas and Vidyadharas and gave them that form which is called Antardhana. Thereafter, when Brahma saw his reflection in the water, he evolved the Kimpurushas and Kinnaras from it while admiring himself. When Brahma gave up that shadowy form, these beings took possession of it. Once, while lying down, Brahma became anxious while thinking about how the work of creation was not progressing properly, In that depressed state, he gave up his body, and the hair that dropped to the ground transformed into snakes. Then fierce nagas sprang out from that body as it crawled along the ground with contracted limbs. One day, when Brahma felt as if the object of his life had been accomplished, he evolved the Manuj from his mind and gave them his own human form. The demigods, Gandharvas, and others who had already been created applauded Brahma by saying, O Creator, what you have produced is well done. Since ritualistic performances will now be established in human body, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations. Thereafter, Brahma created great sages that would set the example of how to act for spiritual elevation. Unto each of these sons he gave a part of his body, each of which were variously endowed with the qualities of deep meditation, yoga, mystic powers, austerity, knowledge, and renunciation. हरे कृष्ण ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाए.